Which of the following equations represents the linear relationship between time t and velocity v as shown in the table below? And so before we actually calculate that formula, I want to show you exactly what they mean by that. So let's plot the points of t and v on this graph here. When time is equal to 0, the velocity is 120. When time is equal to 1, the velocity is 152. When time is equal to 2, the velocity is 184. And so what they're asking us for is what equation describes the line that passes through these 3 points. And of course, they give us some examples. So the thing that's really helpful to know here is the generic equation for a line. And lines have this formula: y equals a times x plus b. Now in this particular case, we don't have a y, but it doesn't really matter. We have velocity on the vertical axis, and that's just a different letter, so no problem. We'll just see v is equal to, now we don't know what this value a is. We're going to try to figure that out. We also don't have an x, but we do have t, time. And again, this is just a different letter that we're using, so it really doesn't matter at all. And then finally, b. So now we want to solve this formula, v equals a times t plus b. Well, they give us one really helpful point here, and that's the value of v when t is equal to 0. So let me show you why that's so helpful. Let's plug it into our equation. So we know v here is equal to 120, and that's equal to a, whatever a is, we still don't know what that value is, times t, which they told us is equal to 0. So 0 plus whatever the value of b is. And the reason that this point is so helpful is that a times 0, just like any number times 0, is equal to 0. And so this doesn't matter. And now what we found is the value of b. b is exactly equal to 120. Now, all we have left to do is solve for the value of a. All right, so let's plug in a second point. Here we see that when v is equal to 152, then t is equal, well, we still don't know what the value of a is here, so we're still trying to figure that out. But we know the value of t is equal to 1. So here we plug in a 1. And then we add in what we just calculated here, this 120. So now we have the value of b is 120. Let me go ahead and stick with purple to show that it's the value of b. All right, and now we have a really simple equation. 152 minus 120 is equal to a times 1. And 152 minus 100 and, well, a times 1 is just a. 152 minus 120 is 32. And so this is the value of a. Plugging this all back into our original equation, we have v is equal to a, which we now know is 32, times t plus b, which we said was equal to 120. And that leads us to the correct answer here, G.